Sanji.
I'm Rebecca. I'm Sandra.
I'm Valine.
I'm Julio.
And we're going to be focusing on information processing and core knowledge. Today we're going to be speaking upon memory. I hope you enjoy it.
Memory is the store of things learned and retained from an organism, activity, or experience as evidenced by modification of structure or behavior, or by recall and recognition. There are three processes to memory: encoding, storage, retrieval. Here is a video to test your memory.
Hello class, this is Sanji from Group 2. We've decided to emphasize our cognitive research on memory. In psychology, memory is an organism's ability to store, retain, and recall information and experiences. Human memory works on two different levels, which are the short-term and the long-term memory. Also, there are three main stages in the formation of memory. They are encoding, storage, and retrieval. To test our memory skills, I pulled up a memory game from National Geographic. Here it is, where we must analyze a group of pictures and put them back in the same order as they were before. This game helps us see how capable we are of remembering the pictures, the positions of each picture, So they give us 4 different categories on the website, and I decided to pick the animal category. 6 different pictures, so let me just analyze it for 10 seconds. What I realized after the timer was up is that I only recall the first and last items. This is called the primary and recency effect in psychology. The ability we each have of remembering only the first and most recent things we see. The order in which the information is learned determines how reliably it will be recalled. The first item is initially distinguished, and it may be transferred into long-term memory by the time of the recall. Items on the end of the list, however, are still in short-term memory, which is the recency effect. Hope you enjoyed class. Bye.
Short-term memory. Short-term memory allows recall for a period of several seconds to a minute, with the ability to grab some sensory information and send it to the next stage of processing. Short-term memory encodes it symmetrically. Long-term. The long-term memory plays a role of capacity of duration, which means that information is available only for a certain period of time.
Once the stimulus event comes into play, it goes into the sensory memory. Information that is lost is forgotten, and the rest is carried into the short-term memory. Whatever is forgotten is lost, and the rest is sent into the long-term memory.
Basic memory processes in infancy. In late infancy, children begin to construct their memories through social interaction and events. Event memory and autobiographical memory are two types of memory that theorists and psychologists have interest in. Event memory is the recalling of experiences that have happened. Children tend to develop scripts for sequences that happen on a day-to-day basis. A script is an event schemed that occurs on a daily basis. Autobiographical memory refers to personal memories about oneself. An example will be one's 5th birthday, a trip to the amusement park, a wedding, or high school graduation. Early memories that begin in infancy through 3 years of age generally do not become a permanent part of one's autobiographical memory. This is known as infantile amnesia. Using the information processing and core knowledge approach, researchers and psychologists all over the world focus on 2 other basic forms of memory that begin in infancy, which is recognition and recall. Recognition memory refers to recognizing previously encountered events, objects, or people with the stimulus present. A stimulus is an object, person, event that is apprehended by the senses. An example of recognition memory would be you coming across a woman in the store that you recognize. After thinking and processing who she is and where you know her from, you realize she used to be a classmate of yours in high school. Recall memory refers to the retrieval of some past experience where the stimulus is not present. Examples of recall memory would be writing an essay, determining where you were when 9/11 occurred, answering fill-in-the-blank questions on an exam. Recall differs from recognition in that it requires coming up with a response as well as determining that it is correct. Although even very young infants can recognize sights, sounds, and smells they have previously encountered, the ability to recall an object or an experience develops later in infancy, around 9 months of age. Recall continues to develop over the 2nd year of life, corresponding to the development of the prefrontal cortex and other brain structures associated with explicit memory. One example of recognition memory that occurs early in infancy was through a well-controlled investigation conducted by researchers Anthony DeCasper and Melanie Spencer. They asked pregnant women to read aloud a Dr. Seuss story during the last 6 months of their pregnancy. After birth, the newborn's recognition memory was tested by comparing their reactions to a familiar verse in a passage. The newborns wore headphones and were given a pacifier that recorded their sucking breath. It was found that they did not modify the way they sucked when the change in sucking was followed by the familiar passage, but they did not do so with the unfamiliar passage. This demonstrated that babies could recognize the stimuli they were exposed to before birth. So, infants recognize previous experience information? Yes, they can. Can infants actively recall events to mind? Yes, they can.
Developmental changes in memory. Developmental changes in memory are influenced by the following factors: physical, cognitive, linguistic, emotional, and social interactions. Memory span improves drastically with age. Older children often remember more than younger children. Brains are developed due to the expanded time and capacity. The information processing model of memory explains that long-term memory stores the child's permanent knowledge base. A child's development can be affected by the environment he or she is in. If a child isn't taken out often, they might have some social problems later on. Other things that can influence the child's development, such as social interactions, environment, hereditary, birth defects, disorders, and etc. The picture shown here reflects a breakdown of Brofman-Berner's ecological system theory. This theory holds that development reflects the influence of several systems that play a role in development. The first layer of this system is the microsystem, the environmental system closest to the child, such as the family or the school. This is the first layer of context in the ecological systems model. The second system is the mesosystem. The interrelationships among the child's microsystem, the second layer of context in the ecological systems model. Then there's the exosystem, social systems that can affect children but in which they do not participate directly. This is the third layer of context in the ecological systems model. Last is the macrosystem, the culture and the subcultures in which the child lives, the fourth layer of context in the ecological systems model. An additional factor that must be considered when studying human development is the passage of time, or the chronosystem. The interactions that take place among the various systems in a child's world gradually change over time as a child grows. The historical and chronological context, the chronosystem, adds even more complexity and richness to the challenge of understanding children's development.
The role of strategies. Studies have demonstrated that older children are more likely than younger children to generate and employ a variety of mnemonic strategies. Based on these studies, scientists and researchers have concluded that children who use or elaborate these strategies show better recalls than children who do not. Outside sources also collaborate to these systematic strategies and describe another type of mnemonic strategies called acronyms. These strategies help students to develop recalls in foreign language courses, but this technique can be applied to other areas as well. This picture shows how children can use mnemonic strategies by organizing their minds and remembering important information. HOME stands for the names of the Great Lakes in the United States. In this picture, it also shows how children are able to remember which month of the year have 31 days, and the space between the knuckles belongs to the month that has 30 days and February that has 29 days. Utilization deficiency is the failure of a recent development of mnemonic strategies to facilitate recall. Production deficiency, the failure that generate a mnemonic strategies randomly. Utilization deficiencies occur when a child experiences little or no benefit in the task performed from the use of any strategy. Utilization deficiencies were more common on younger than older children and were more likely to be found when training or use of strategies involve multiple procedures rather than single procedures. Recent memory research highlights the surprising variety in children's strategy use. The outcome of this research proved that children sometimes were able to generate 3 or 4 strategies in a single task. A negative effect in memory is that humans are always limited in information processing, meaning that a certain amount or capacity of information can fit in short-term memory.
The role of knowledge, novice and experts. Domain-specific knowledge influences information processing, so people vary in expertise. Expertise, organized factual knowledge about a content domain. Where expertise is high, so is memory, and variations in expertise contribute to variations in memory. Variations in expertise contribute to developmental changes in memory across the span of childhood. Older children possess more expertise for most topics than younger children. Expertise have a greater quantity of knowledge and are able to represent more than just small bits of information in memory. Which array do you think you could remember well enough to reproduce after viewing the arrays for 10 seconds? If you do not play chess, the chances are that you would find the 2 arrays equally difficult to recall. Both contain the same number and the same variety of stimuli. If you are a chess player, the top array would be easier to remember because the pieces are in position that might actually occur in a game. You could therefore draw on your knowledge of chess as you took in the information, store it in memory, and retrieve it to reproduce the positions.
The role of metacognition. Metacognition refers to learners' automatic awareness of their own knowledge and their ability to understand, control, and manipulate their own cognitive processes. Though metacognition is a relatively new field and theorists have not yet settled on conventional terminology, metacognition research falls within the following categories. Metamemory. Metamemory refers to learners' awareness and knowledge about their own memory systems and strategies for using their memories effectively. Awareness of different memory strategies, knowledge of which strategies to use for a particular memory task, and knowledge of how to use a given memory strategy most effectively. Metacomprehension. Learners with poor comprehension often finish reading passages without even knowing that they have not understood them. More adept will check for confusion or inconsistency and undertake a corrective strategy, rereading or relating current information to prior knowledge. Self-regulation. Self-regulation focuses on the ability learners have to monitor their own learning without outside interaction or interference. They are also to maintain attitudes necessary to invoke and employ these strategies. To learn most effectively, students should become more capable of properly selecting, employing, monitoring, and evaluating the use of these strategies. Metacognition is broken down on this chart showing metamemory, metacomprehension, self-regulation, further on into schema training and transfer. Group 2 thanks you, and the end.